Boom, I'm in the room. Welcome, everybody, to Everyday Conversations Regarding Mental Health. Now, you're here because there's nothing on the telly, and I'm coming to you live from the old Heale Manor. Now, I've got a guest on this evening, and this evening we're going to look at Tourettes and the effect that it has on mental well-being. We're going to try and take the stigma out of mental well-being, mental health. So, my guest, without too much further ado, I'm going to bring him in, and then we're going to start the conversation off. So, Kristof, welcome.
Hello, hello, Tim. It's a pleasure to be. Thank you. I treasure your trust to have me on your show.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
Mm.
It's an interesting topic that we're going to have a chat about tonight. We're going to look at Tourette's, and you've been suffering from it for a while. So, if you can tell us roughly about how it started and how it affects your life. So you've got the platform.
Well, it actually began again it began when I was in the Navy. That was the first I became symptomatic. It manifested like a seizure, um, but luckily I was stationed and I was currently working at a hospital at Shakespeare. I was working at Naval Air Station Jacksonville, the base hospital there, and it happened right in front of a doctor. So I was taken to the ER, and essentially they couldn't figure out what it was. And the incidence of that particular symptom, it occurred for another 3 days, and then it stopped for a couple of years actually. Shakespeare. The, having Tourette's, the symptoms of Tourette's that make it up. So a syndrome, it is a syndrome. So a syndrome is a pattern of symptoms where the underlying cause is unknown, and my symptoms flirt with each other. If that makes sense, I have OCD, depression, anxiety, ADHD, and they exacerbate one another depending on the context of my life. Yeah, and it's quite injurious. It's quite injurious, actually. I've damaged my hand to the point where I couldn't use my thumb for several months, and I had to wear like I literally couldn't use my right hand to do anything. It was really awful. I have to wear protective like a mask to keep from gouging my own eyes out. And I punch myself in the face. I jab myself in the throat, and Shakespeare. The trouble with Tourette's is that apparently it is genetic, but given the context of my upbringing, I was very violently abused. So it actually I have a problem. It's self-mutilating tics. I actually so all of those things is a product of that. Shakespeare, Shakespeare, and it interferes with everything, everything I do. Yeah,
Sounds like you've been through the mill a bit with it.
yeah, yeah, a little bit.
So as time's gone on, then from when you were first diagnosed when you're in the hospital in Jacksonville,
Mm.
um, how has it progressed? Has it got worse, or was this
Yes,
like it was when it started?
Shakespeare. Um, it started with a bang, right? And then the trouble is that after that, it was very the symptoms were modest and almost undetectable. What I was doing was I was grunting and my stomach muscles would tighten, and I didn't know what was happening. I just thought I was experiencing like ruminating symptoms, like I was being symptomatic of doing that. But that's what it was. It was the first. It was like the first consistent manifestation when I was, and that happened when I was 25. So between 19 and 25, I only had like 3 days, three different episodes,
Mm.
and there were years in between those. Um, yeah, Shakespeare. Hmm. Yeah.
So how is it now?
It's
Is it?
yeah. The way it is now is much of what I told you a moment ago. Is that Shakespeare, where I injure myself, with my eyes and not Shakespeare and my hands actually. So I have my knuckle. This finger, my middle finger, is is not doing well.
So so when you go through these episodes, you can't really control what's happening. Is that right?
No, 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 I
So
can't.
when you're attempting to gouge your eyes out or punch
Mhm.
things, you've got no real control over it.
Mm-mm. No,
I guess
it's
it's
like
just,
if yeah, it's like as if you're possessed, truly, in the real
mm.
sense of the word. You know, Shakespeare.
And I guess it's similar to the language that you use as well.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, people associate Tourette's with people swearing a lot and
Hmm.
sudden outbursts.
I
Is
do
that
that
the
too.
same
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah. It's actually it's kind of terrible. I actually when I moved into apartment buildings or but like even in this place, the place that I'm living now, I had to tell the people that if it sounds like someone's being tortured, that's not what's happening. It's
Mm.
just it's well, I scream
Yeah.
like that,
Well,
like you would hear that
I
sound
guess
effect.
that is somebody being tortured. It's you being
Yeah,
tortured. Um,
yeah, yeah, in a sense. Mhm.
and the treatment for it can be quite drastic, I guess.
Right. Shakespeare. There isn't a medication capable of treating. Well, capable that is prescribed for Tourette's. It's not on label. There's no medication for it. So the only thing that is a surgery called deep brain stimulation, and they carve a hole in your head and they put a rod all the way down into your brain and install an electrical lead, and then that is attached to a battery beneath your collarbone, beneath your skin.
Hmm.
And it's meant to regulate with electrical pulses that part of the brain.
Yeah. I mean, do you have to instigate the battery, or does it do it automatically and it's constant?
Yeah, I imagine it actually detects. It actually is like a sort of a conduit between if wherever they're putting it in the brain, it's meant to sort of be like a
Hmm.
crossing guard. You know.
Yeah. And have they
Mhm.
recommended this treatment for you?
No, my doctor actually said we could do that, but I didn't want to. I'm a writer, and my brain is what I have left, if I have anything. Shakespeare.
Hmm.
Mm.
So, so how does your writing help then?
Uh, my I love my work more than anything. When I describe it to people, I say I love it more than the sum of my love for all other things.
Hmm.
Uh, and because I don't know, I've always had an affinity. I've always had a great affection for them. I don't know why. It's inexplicable to me. But when I was 13, we had to write letters to the soldiers serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I remember feeling like that was a solemn task, and so I wrote with a great deal of seriousness. And my I didn't think anything of it, but I remember it was a kind of bliss. It was really strange. There was a I felt the music in my head, and then my teacher later later that day she had read it to every class after I left, and when I got swarmed at lunch because people were like, "Wow, your letter was so beautiful,"
Hmm.
and yeah, Shakespeare. I didn't practice. I never wrote um, outside of that, so
Yeah.
yeah, Shakespeare.
So I just want to take you back a bit to um, what happened with you growing up,
Mm. Shakespeare. That
the violence that you suffered.
mm. Shakespeare. Well, I grew up in South Texas, uh, and in the 90s that it was not a forgiving time for anyone in that area, in that region. There's not a lot of it's a very religious part of the country, and so that sort of treatment was almost it was encouraged. Actually, I actually had a teacher who knew what was happening to me at home. My dad would beat me almost. I felt like it was every day,
Mm.
and she she actually threatened me once. She said, "If you don't stop misbehaving, I'm going to call your dad," because she knew what he would do to me. And my stepmother used to encourage him also. She would, when my dad was drunk, she would yell at him to beat me. Yeah, she's the devil. It's a pretty awful situation. So it really is. It really was really really terrible. I don't.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that can induce a childhood trauma that
Mm,
you carry with you for the rest of your life, and that can have
mm,
a terrible effect on
mm.
you growing up as an individual. Do you
Yeah.
have any other siblings that were going through similar?
Shakespeare. I have a brother, and he is he's younger than me, and I have two older sisters. Uh, yeah, but it was I got it the worst out of everybody in that sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, everyone not even close. It was just me, really, mostly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so any idea why he picked on you so much?
I think he's always struggled with inadequacy.
Hmm.
His father was the same way, and his father even repented to me uh, on his deathbed, sort of.
Hmm.
I said that he mistreated my father, which I thought was a curious concession, because I imagine my father will probably do the same thing,
Hmm.
and
Um,
I don't consider that an honorable thing.
no. I mean,
No.
normally, uh, a parent that's gone through that sort of violence upbringing
Mm.
generally don't treat their kids the same way that they went through. They
Yeah,
generally don't want to treat their kids in the same manner that they went through. So
Shakespeare.
it seems quite strange that your father treated you that way after having suffered that way himself.
Yeah, but if you study alcohol, being an
Mm,
alcoholic, it
yeah,
disables your ability. Like it really diminishes your ability to regulate rage and a number of. And I mean, other than the inebriation, like being drunk, it's not the only thing. Like even alcohol withdrawals and can induce that.
yeah,
So yeah, and he is very dysregulated in that sense. In that sense.
yeah.
Yeah, he used to scream. In fact, he used to scream himself hoarse. Like and he would hurt himself hurting me. Actually, like he would like hitting me. He would
Yeah.
hurt. He would injure himself, like his shoulder. He'd throw his shoulder out, sort of thing. Mm, no,
Did you ever have the chance to stand up for yourself? Did anybody else stand up to him?
no, they didn't. I told so many people,
Hmm.
uh, and I sought help from everyone in my life that was an adult that I had a modicum of trust in. Um, Yeah, and they listened with they were I mean they listened with some
Yeah.
compassion, of course, but they never did anything about it. And when I was in high school though, I got a little bit bigger than him in terms of height, and I
Hmm.
was on the wrestling team, and at one point he wanted to wrestle me, and I pinned him to the ground. I pinned him to the ground. He had to give up. He's all right. Let me go. Let me go. Mm, mm.
Yeah. So I mean that's a little bit of sweet justice, I guess.
Yeah, and it's funny because in therapy, they actually recommend sort of imagining those scenarios of your life and imagine you coming in as an adult and defending your childhood self, and that would be,
Mm.
yeah.
And that's your workers back after lunch, is it?
I had no idea that they were. Yeah, this is a new thing. They're performing construction um, for some reason. I think they're installing another unit. I don't know. Anyway, the
Mm.
point is that it was not a very good situation.
Yeah, that's all. We can live with it for a bit. So coming now, you're going through that therapy. Has that
Oh
helped
yeah.
at all? Looking back at thinking that what you could have done if you was an adult, seeing that happen.
I know that it's effective, but the way I describe a lot of these therapies is like trying to empty a pool with a garden hose. You know, it's going to take a
Mm.
very long time uh, to have any measure of success or noticeable. I think, and sometimes it rains.
Yeah, and fills it back up again. So where are you at the moment in being able to get treatment and help with the condition?
Shakespeare. Mm, Shakespeare. My work provides me a lot of consolation and helps me to understand the way I feel about the world just in general. I have a great deal of uh, empathy. Uh, I try really hard to, as a writer, because when you're building characters, they have to be distinct, I think, from yourself in many ways.
Mm.
But they're, of course, their experiences are informed and by your own, of course. And so writing helps me um, to sort of create, because my narrators have the perfume of compassion. Does that make sense?
Mm.
The way that I consider, the way that the narrators in my book discusses the characters is the perfume. They have the perfume of compassion, at least. So you can detect that in the way that, because it really is an effort to understand more than anything. Yeah.
Mm. So you've already written one book then,
Mhm. That's right.
and
I've
that's
written
been
Shakespeare.
published.
Hmm. Shakespeare. I've written a kids book also called Liam Earns a Friend, and it's quite cute.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, but my first book is a debut, and my novel is an epic fantasy. But I wanted it to be a work of literature because
Mm.
I have, like I said, I have a great affection for words, and also for writers like Charles Dickens and Shakespeare, Oscar Wilde, Emily Dickinson. I mean, I could name a billion, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I've met, yeah, so it's been incredible. Yeah, and I went viral on TikTok a couple times already, so I've sold like 1,300 copies, so
That's
which is
good
extraordinary when
going.
you consider that I didn't have any, I didn't have any fans or anyone to refer to when I said that they've read my book. I didn't. Now I have people messaging me almost every day saying that they've read my book and writing really outrageous and flattering things on in the reviews. Mm.
Brilliant.
No,
So is the next book going to be a sequel, or is it going to be
that's
a
right.
separate one altogether?
It is a sequel because the first two. Here's the thing. I was gonna do a marketing thing. I was gonna offer Volume 1, the first 11 chapters for free, and then Volume 2, which is 12 through 19, chapters 12 through 19. And that one would cost money, and that was because I wanted to encourage trust, between
Mm.
myself and the audience. But they don't let you do it that way. So I put it all just volumes 1 and 2. I just wrote it as volumes 1 and 2, and then I'm working on volume 3 at the moment. And I'm actually writing the last chapter today and tomorrow.
Oh,
Mm. Yeah.
so have you got a publisher, or are you self-publishing? Is it going to be an audio book?
Yeah, there'll be an audiobook. Like I this is the internet age, right? There's an extraordinary amount of exposure that you can be that you can earn through social media, and I've done that. And so I considered whenever I consider getting published, I'm an award-winning journalist. I've won awards for at two different colleges. I won all of their categories in creative writing, like both of them, both colleges. I won their highest awards, both of them. And I figured the way that things work now politically, um, it's it's a little bit more difficult to get published, depending on certain factors. And so um, I I figured that I wasn't really, and I learned that Charles Dickens was rejected over 60 something times. And I thought,
Mm.
this is outrageous. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like one of the greatest writers of English of all time, and Shakespeare, and yeah, and he was rejected. So I thought about all the different incredibly famous people now who came from platforms like YouTube and other places where you self-publish material, and
Yeah.
because that would otherwise not be granted studio time, or
Mm.
would be given no serious attention given the factors that whatever I could contribute. So I self-published
I,
with Amazon, and I'm basically relying. Here's the thing: in the United States, there's the big five. There was HarperCollins, Simon and Schuster, and then I don't know the three others. But but there's only one left. I think Simon and Schuster just got bought by HarperCollins, I think, or the other way
mm,
around. I don't know. But the point is that there's only one left. So, and that's because the industry is really suffering, and that's largely because they're not they don't have the capacity uh, to create and that kind of content like on that
mm,
scale. There's a lot of people that are like that are just refusing to use a publisher, traditional publisher.
yeah. So from your point of view, then, so you self-published, and it's starting to take off quite well. And where where do you go see it going? Who's going to do your audio? Are you going to read it
So,
yourself to do it, or are you going to get um, uh, an actor in to do it?
well, I don't know if you can hear that, but I'll just tell it anyway. The audiobook's not going to be done. I'm not sure who's going to do the audio. I don't know if you've ever. There's a video game called The Stanley Parable. Are you familiar with that? Do you know what I'm
The
talking?
sorry,
It's called The Stanley Parable.
no.
Okay, well, there's a British narrator who is really quite extraordinary. He's got a very lovely voice and he's very talented. He's an older gentleman. I don't know who he is, but I wanted him. That's who I when I heard his work, I was smitten. Um, but yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry. What was the first question?
You were going to look at how you published it yourself, and it's starting to take off.
Oh yeah. So I was counting on myself, like I have my own charisma, like and my own talent as a writer, to develop like a relationship with and have an audience. Hmm.
Mm. So you're going down the science fiction, or is it science fiction or that genre?
Yeah, it's epic fantasy. It's a high fantasy, epic fantasy. Because
Mm.
it's structured very similar to Game of Thrones, in terms in respect to the first three chapters uh, are different parts of the world with different characters, and then those stories diverge, which is a very excellent format. And it's I have hundreds of characters, and for me, the the traditional publishing anyway, they make you have to have an audience already. Like they often they want you to come in with 5,000, like however many followers. I have almost 6,000 followers, and I started my account in July uh,
Wow,
of last year.
that's pretty good going.
So
So it's growing. So
yeah, mhm.
would it lend itself to being a film or a series?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to have to be a series. There's no way they can make it. I mean, it's the first book is 225,000 words, and for everyone that doesn't know, The Hobbit is 98,000. So,
All right.
um, it, yeah. So it's
Well,
a lot of.
Kristof is.
Mhm.
I just had a question come in. Hi Tim. Came in after you started. What's the name of your guest? It's interesting.
Oh,
Well, we're talking about Tourette's. And say Christoph's suffered from Tourette's since he was around 25,
mhm.
and
Yeah,
when he was
yeah.
first diagnosed with it. So yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Shakespeare.
So publishing the book, then,
Mhm.
will you write the screenplay for it?
I don't know if you've seen. I'm not really into anime, that Japanese anime sort of shows.
Hmm.
My brother though, he is, and he showed me something called One Piece, which is like 20 something seasons. I think it's very long. It is the source material is from the little. It's like a big comic book. It's like a
Yeah.
thick, yeah, and they're called mangas. I'm not really, yeah, I've never looked into that, but and the show can be quite hard to watch sometimes. It's just, so I make him like, he polices like our watch. I'm like, we're not gonna watch this episode. It's driving me crazy. The way they're screaming all the time is annoying. But the Shakespeare, the creator is brilliant. His name is Oda. I don't know his last name, but he's brilliant. He's Japanese and he's incredible. He does an extraordinary job of marrying reality and bending it just a little bit.
Hmm.
It's to the point where it's like it's plausible and it's also interesting. Like for example, the telephones that they have in the show is is a snail, and the snail's like you have a phone and you talk and they talk and the little snail like on the other end, whoever they're talking to, voice. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Anyway, they made a live action version on Netflix, and if you haven't seen it, it's incredible. It's very good. It's very very well done. I would and he signed off basically on everything. That's what I would do. I would be a large part of choosing the actors,
Hmm.
and I would approve the scripts, but I wouldn't want to do that the content myself. They would
Yeah.
be able to
Bit
sort of
like
derive it.
J.K. Rowling then.
Yeah,
I mean, she
Shakespeare.
she
Yeah,
she she had autonomy over who the actors were and signed them off and was there
mhm,
during the filming and all the rest of it to make sure that it was true to her writing.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. For me, yeah, I'm the same. I considered my work when I developed it. I wanted it to be source material. That's why the way I wrote it was to be uh, it was to facilitate that transition.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So,
Shakespeare.
so the books, are they available in paperback or on Kindle?
It's
And
paperback, hardcover, and Kindle. Yeah.
when do you anticipate getting an audio version out?
Um, you see, I wanted to do it myself, but I might amend that. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know that for me it's I think it's important because Shakespeare, because I have a disability. I want more than anything to have that Shakespeare. I consider it an accessibility issue.
Hmm. Yeah. So I
And I
mean,
want,
there's
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
so your workers are back then after lunch.
Yeah, I'm actually Shakespeare. I have a patron that has paid for me to stay at a hotel on Vancouver Island for the next month, and I'm going to be doing my work there. Uh, so yeah,
That should be nice and
because of
quiet then.
it's really distracting.
It can be, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Kristof, um, what else can be done for the condition that you've got, other than sort of making a big hole in your head and sticking a battery on your chest? Is
There's
there any
really,
other is there any other research that you know that's going into the condition?
I think the brain is like my brain is literally deformed.
Hmm.
Uh, and so it's malformed, rather. I'm not sure. It didn't. And so, given that it's a genetic condition, I think that's consistent with saying that.
Yeah,
And so, in
might
terms
be
of
something to
treatment,
do with all the batterings you got as a kid.
Shakespeare. What's that?
Might be something to do with all the battering that you got as a kid from your
Yeah,
dad.
Shakespeare. It does. It actually can greatly exacerbate that.
Oh,
And it did. And the way that, of course, that's the way it's manifested is that I injure myself whenever I feel shame. I like imagine if you every time you thought about something that you did in the past that you're ashamed of, that you gouged your own eyes out, or you punched yourself in the
yeah.
face. That's what
Well, when
happens.
when you when you start thinking of that sort of thing, think, well, if you gouge your eyes out, you can't see to write.
Yeah, Shakespeare. Yeah, and yeah, yeah, and I wish I could regulate it, but it's not. Yeah,
Hmm.
there's
I can
nothing.
imagine it's really challenging at the best of times.
Yeah, especially Shakespeare. My last job before I wrote my book. In fact, I quit like the day before my 32nd birthday. I was working at Starbucks in the
All right.
drive-through. That was
So
the
you
only
know all about
position that.
coffee then.
No, I'm not sure about that.
Can I get a
I'm not
caramel
sure.
mac?
Yeah, they didn't. I don't think they imparted anything useful in that sense. I
Hmm.
mean, I can make a hell of a latte. I think, but that's it. And I
Oh,
wouldn't know
that's an
much about.
important job.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Christoph, um, when are you going off to stay in a hotel?
That's actually today.
Well,
After this meeting, I'm going to get into my car and I'm driving I'm going to be on the island, so I'm going to have to go. I'm driving down to a ferry, which is like 20 minutes away. Shakespeare,
yeah.
and and then it's like a 2.5 hour thing. But I'm really excited. I enjoy ferries. I've been on a couple, uh, and traveled. I've lived all over the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and I rode one from Michigan. And there's a from the peninsula. There's a Mackinac Island. It's a really lovely place.
Mm.
From the Michigan mainland to Mackinac Island, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Um, yeah, and I'm really anxious to get started on my work because I have some people that I regularly confide in,
Mm.
and I spoke to them last night about the rest of the book and what was going to happen, and they were elated. They were really
Excited.
excited.
Excellent.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's it then. You're off today. So you've got a month to
Hmm.
finish the book.
But yes, Shakespeare. It is the first draft, and so in that sense, it's rather. Everyone knows, I'm sure it's a rather crude process.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it's Jordan Peele, the writer of Get Out, and he's member to the duo of Key and Peele. It was on Comedy Central, I think, and he's brilliant. He said that the first draft is like shoveling sand into a sandbox, and then you make sand castles with it later.
Mm.
So it doesn't look like much at first. It's a number of just concepts that you hope to sensibly
Yeah.
bring together.
So so you're going to be working on the first draft, and you're going to get to take over and get a second draft done, ready for the sort of final polish in the month.
Yeah, I think I actually wrote the first draft of my my debut book, and which was the first draft was 162,000 words. I did it in 2.5 months. I don't
Wow.
really know how 2.5 months. So that's like doing the November writing month 3 times in 3 times and then some in
Yeah.
2.5 months. So
So do you give yourself a target each day for writing so many words?
I do a 15. I try to do 1,500 words, at least 1,000. Um, John Steinbeck actually said that do 1 page a day, and then he says after 400 days you have a book. You
Yeah, 400
know?
days, that's like a year and a half.
Yeah, I took Shakespeare.
And you
I
have to
took
eat
a
in that time.
hmm yeah. I told yeah. I did the second the first rewrite took over a year and a half. I mean, well, the rewrites took over a year and a half to complete.
Mm.
And in fact, I would say even I would say they weren't really finished until a few weeks ago, honestly. Just because I'm quite I'm pretty hard on myself in that sense. I try
Mm.
I I'm very careful and very deliberate with my
Yeah.
words.
Want to get it right, right sort of, right first time to publish.
Mm. Yeah, as Shakespeare, I have I the which is I'm quite fortunate. I got a divorce last year, uh, and I still wrote the book I have now, which is 110,000 words so far. uh, which I have to include. And there's probably it's going to be about maybe another. It's probably going to be another year or so, and then it'll be
Mm.
done. But maybe it might be done sooner because I'm more experienced now, and my writing is improved dramatically in that time. Hmm.
Fantastic. Well, Kristof, I wish you the very, very best of luck. And
Thank you so much.
and I'll put the links in the description for where they can get all your first books.
No, thank you.
Well, that was Kristof. Amazing story. You don't realise how Tourette's actually affects people. You occasionally see people out that have it, and you think they're just swearing for the sake of it, or they're doing weird things or just shouting out. But it is a real condition. So all I can do is wish that Kristof the very best of luck, that he can get through it and he can get some serious treatment to help him to manage it. I don't think there's a cure yet. I think it's just a case of managing. So until next week, I've got a guest on next week. We're going to, hopefully, he's going to feel better. We're talking to a clinical nurse, psychological nurse. So until next week, TTFN. Ta-ta for now.